Hey, Shabbat Shalom Mishpocha! Welcome to another edition of Torah Tidbits. This is Torah Tidbits installment number 47, and it's taken from the Torah portion called Re'eh, which means to see. And it's taken from Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 26, all the way to chapter 16, verse 17. So the Torah portion is called Re'eh, to see. What does this Torah portion want us to see? Well, for one thing, it tells us that it wants us to see Torah. It wants us to see Torah in the light that Torah is an unconditional covenant in that it lasts forever. But at the same time, the Torah is also a conditional covenant, because within the covenant, the Torah contract, there is the word if, the Hebrew word im, which are the smallest words in the English and Hebrew language. If you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, then that will happen, etc. So it's an everlasting covenant. In other words, the Torah is eternal, but at the same time, it's conditional, because the conditioning is upon us. The ball is in our court. If we keep the Torah and do what it says, then these blessings will happen. If we do not obey Torah and keep the Torah, then these curses will fall upon us, which curses are actually a blessing in disguise to help us get back on the right track so we could receive blessings. Now, the portion I want to focus on is from Devarim, chapter 12, verses 29 through 31, and it says, "When Yahweh your Elohim has cut down before you the nations that you are about to enter and dispossess, and you have dispossessed them and settled in their land, beware of being lured into their ways after they have wiped out before you. Do not inquire about their gods, saying, 'How does this nation worship their gods?' I too will follow these practices. You shall not act thus toward Yahweh your Elohim, for they perform for their gods every abhorrent act that Yahweh detests." So basically, this Torah portion is warning us about assimilation, warning that those people that we did not dispossess from the land are going to influence us through their everyday activities, especially through the pagan worship of their gods. And we are not to inquire, say, "Oh, well, how do you worship your God? Show me. I'm interested in your practices," because whether consciously or subconsciously, it's like candy, sinful candy for the mind, because Israel had such a hard time with the issue of spiritual adultery, aka idolatry. That's why, Israel and Yehuda were exiled from the land. That's why we're in exile today. That's partially why the temple's been destroyed, is because of idolatry, because we imitate and practice the things of the nations. And so, especially with us living in exile, it's vitally important that we do not assimilate or follow after the way of the Gentiles. That's why we as Jews, through the Torah, have certain ways we think, feel, act, eat, and dress. Not only that, but along with the Torah, we have developed traditions over the centuries. Not all of them bad. Some of them we can do away with. Some of them, you can choose to keep or not to keep. But these traditions are kind of extra protection, so to speak. When we keep a lot of the traditions of Judaism, it helps us to better think, feel, act, eat, and dress as a Yehudi, as a Jew. And so, on a social level, we're not to inquire. Now, this doesn't mean that on an academic level we can study, that doesn't mean that we can't study world religions, but just be warned, if you are not called to reach out to people of other religions or other faiths, if you are not deeply, deeply, deeply grounded and rooted in the Torah, then I would suggest just, stay away from it. Just stick with the Torah. But on an academic level, if you are called to reach out to the nations, reached out to the other religions, then it's fine to study it, because you're not personally inquiring. You do not have when you're academically studying something, it's clinical, it's professional. The personal aspect of it is removed. Whereas if you inquire about a religion in a social setting, there's that personal bond there, and you're more apt to be influenced to want to go into such pagan practices. So this kind of begs the question, all right, if we're not to inquire about other religions, how do we know when a false religion is false? Keep the Torah. Study the Torah. Just like people who handle money and are trained to detect counterfeit, Do the trainers give these trainees, thousands of different counterfeited bills so they can study in every minute detail what's missing, what the flaw is, and all this kind of stuff? No, they don't even touch counterfeit money for a long, long time. All they do all day, day in, day out, is count real, authentic bills. Day in, day out. They're just handling it and counting it and touching it, and then all of a sudden, after time goes by, the trainers will slip in a counterfeit bill, and they're going, hold on a second, something doesn't feel right. And they detect the counterfeit bill right away because they've studied so long the real thing that when the fake thing comes along, they can actually feel it. They can feel it, and it just doesn't seem right, and they can detect the counterfeit bill. That's the same way how we can encounter or detect false doctrines, false religions, these false and abhorrent things that Yahweh hates, that tries to come into our personal lives, into our faith, into our walk with Torah and Messiah. If we study diligently the Torah, we won't have to worry about being deceived or fooled or counterfeited or bamboozled, because we will know the truth. And when the fake comes along and presents itself, boom, red flags, bells and whistles go off. We know exactly that it's a fake. So hopefully you enjoy this Torah portion this week. Study it for yourself. I pray in Yahweh's name that you get much, much more out of it than I can give you in this short amount of time. So may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Yahweh lift up his countenance to you and give you peace. Yavarechecha Yahweh vishmareka, Ya'er Yahweh panav alecha ve'echuneka, Yasa Yahweh panav alecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. B'Shem Yeshua Mosheinu. Amen. Thanks for watching. Tune in again next time. We'll see ya. Love you guys. God bless.